And should be live. Hello, hello, hello.
Right. I'll just wait for the live stream to be on my end so I can mute this thing.
Yeah.
There we
All
go.
right, all right, all right, all right.
What the hell are you wearing?
What? My Dolphins jersey.
Over another shirt?
Yeah. I
Bro,
I I, I always wear undershirt. No, it's not the fact it's cold. It's just I like wearing undershirts. I always have.
Bro, I know how bad of an idea that is, and it's cold as hell over
Yeah,
here.
thank you, Bufflash. I even wore one while I was playing. Like undershirts are nothing new.
Oh no, bro.
So anyway, hello everyone.
NBA.
That's what a way to start just talking about. So if you
Talk about undershirts. That's a great way to start it off.
right. So
Dude.
again, how's everyone doing? Behind me, I have my power rankings set up. We're gonna be going over Tocids tonight as part of this. I do not know a single thing about them, and I am scared.
I don't see why you're so scared. There's no
Exactly,
issue,
Bufflash.
bro. Like,
Last week you had the Knicks on here.
bro, everyone will agree with it, especially new people.
we'll let some people get in here before we go over that. We might as well talk about tomorrow's game first. As Buffalo travels to Miami, I'm gonna be live for that. I'm gonna be stressed out the entire time.
If you lose to Buffalo, y'all suck.
I mean, we are like 11-2 against them past 13 meetings. They have our number,
Yet again,
but it's just
Buffalo, y'all suck.
Buffalo is a like considerable weaker team this year than in the past. So
Well, yeah, they're always a weak team.
I mean, not really.
Feels like at this point. To me, they're weak, always. Mainly just because they're from Buffalo, but still.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, like, the Bills had like a very long stretch of being mediocre, so they got hot right at they took over as soon as the Patriots started on the decline. So it's been a few years, been
I want to
5.
know the context for this guy in chat that just said Mexican.
Wait, because I'm drinking a Mexican Coca Cola.
Oh yeah, I thought he was talking about the other guy.
No.
I'd be jealous of that too, pal.
Any team that lost 4 straight? We mean like 4 straight to one opponent? If so, I'm pretty sure Cincy has lost 4 straight to Cleveland. The Jets have lost multiple straight to Buffalo and to New England.
No offense, Buffalo, but fuck.
I mean, yeah, you lose to New England week 1, and then you get KC week 2. Like, man, Cincy has it rough.
Yeah, it seems like they always have it rough, huh?
I mean, kinda. But at the same time, they did make the Super Bowl recently, which they've been riding high since.
They made it.
Oh, 4 straight Super Bowls? Yeah, that's true. No other team has.
That's for sure.
I mean, the only other team that's like 0-4 in Super Bowls is Minnesota, but it wasn't 4 straight.
We gonna be talking about either of those teams? We're gonna be talking about the Bills.
Yeah, I have them. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Bills. Do you want to start? Do you have any honorable mentions to talk about?
I sure do.
What's the first one?
All right, so the first honorable mention I had was, since there's a lot of great teams, but unfortunately I couldn't fit the Birmingham Stallions on the list.
uh, if this season does go like really poor, there's not consistently 10 great teams in the league. maybe.
It will be better. If that happens, it's a dark day for the NFL.
I mean, there will be one point down the line where we might do reverse power rankings. Honestly, yeah, that I do think Birmingham would be able to beat Carolina if they played, because Carolina did not look good this past week or really all of last year.
Yeah, that's just what they get for living in Carolina, I guess.
Well, again, like, their owner is disastrous of how he runs that franchise. Like I don't know how Tepper turned Carolina, who was like a somewhat decent team when he bought the team, into a complete dumpster fire in like 4 years.
Yeah, that honestly sounds like a better fate than what the Pistons got. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the Pistons. Any other honorable mentions?
All right, next, another great team that just unfortunately can't get mentioned on this. Taj Gibson.
Probably should have start saying this beforehand. Tocid's the NBA mind of this channel.
He is obviously an NFL player. I don't know what you're talking about. Not
Because
just is he an NFL player, he's an NFL team.
when the NBA season starts, alongside like doing the NFL power rankings and whatnot on these Wednesdays Q&As, we'll be talking NBA as well. That's where he would truly be able to like shine.
I don't see what you're talking about there. I think I have given fair analysis.
Taj Gibson.
Let's be honest. If he went up against the Carolina Panthers, he would win.
I don't think so.
What happened, bro?
Any other honorable mentions? If not, I'm gonna quickly say mine and talk about them before we go into.
Yeah, got one more. He almost slid in. They almost slid into number 10, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just didn't have a good enough showing. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
He unfortunately didn't get the last Chaos Emerald, so I can't put him on the.
Okay, so
But
I'm not putting honorable mentions on there because there's not a lot of space for them. I will quickly say mine though. The Packers, again, they would have been that number 10 spot if Jordan Love had didn't get injured and we had clarity on if he was going to be playing this week. He did not practice today, so again, it's not a good sign. I believe it is an MCL sprain for him, so the Packers would have made it. The Ravens also honorable mention purely just because I had them at 10 last week and the loss moved them by like a spot or two, so just off the top 10. And then the final one is Minnesota. They played the Giants really well. And like Sam Darnold looked great, but it was against the Giants. And because of that, I didn't take it as seriously as like Seattle's win, even though we'll talk about, but Denver, maybe not that great of opponent either.
I will say I did almost with the Vikings. Because I have a little bit more hope. I did put the Ravens there just because I feel like we can't judge them that harshly based on how far they went last year.
Yeah, so Ravens are at number 10 for you?
Didn't say that.
So who's your number 10 then?
This is not biased whatsoever. There's no bias to my number 10 whatsoever.
Look like Egginator Minecraft movie.
It's all right.
Who's 10's Cardinals?
Yep. There's no bias there at all. Absolutely none.
That's good enough. I mean, they did play Buffalo really well, and arguably were in the driver's seat for that game. But I mean, yeah, it's just the Cardinals are a weird team this year, in the sense that like they can be like a playoff team, but they're also still in like that weird retooling round. Tocid's a Marvin Harrison Jr. fan. He doesn't have a definitive team for right now, at least not until one of his favorite college players enters the league. So yeah, he roots for Arizona because he likes Marvin Harrison Jr. But at the same time, like if Arizona would have beat Buffalo, they probably would have been an honorable mention for me. Like, and they did play them close, so like I get that aspect of like they probably could be up here. I mean, like it's just hard to put a one loss team at this spot that wasn't previously on the rankings.
Yeah, so I'm from a state that doesn't have a pros sports even obviously.
Yeah, that's why he follows where he follows Harrison, and again when Alec Ononamber enters the league from Stanford, out of Stanford.
Alec Iomane.
Yeah,
Gotta remember his name, bro.
I will eventually properly learn it, but again, once he enters the league. Any like input that's for you besides the fact that you're technically a Cardinals fan for right now?
Yeah, I just have too much hope in Marvin Harrison Jr. to just at least bringing him a little bit far.
Yeah, so yeah, I had Seattle at 10. Again, like if Jordan Love would have been healthy, it would have been the Packers. And then if the Jets would have won, it would have been them. But I do really like how Seattle played against Denver. It was a close game. But like out of like the 10 spot was weird for me to select this week. I didn't want to put the Saints there because I didn't truly like how because they played Carolina, so not the greatest of matchups. The Vikings were close, but I viewed the Broncos higher than I do the Giants. There was some other 1-0 teams that barely missed. Yeah, and I know Denver isn't necessarily good, but I still think Seattle's defense played really well. And honestly, Seattle answered a lot of questions for me that I had entering the season because I wasn't confident in. Well, the Rams lost, so like the Rams were honorable mentions last week, and then the loss to Detroit. So like yeah, moved like the Rams were like around like 12 last week, so then the loss moved down a bit more. But like Seattle answered a lot of questions that I had surrounding them. Geno Smith played well. The run game looked pretty good, and their defense, again, they handled business, and that's kind of what was important. It is only week 2, so stuff's going to change. I don't expect Seattle to stay on there necessarily too much longer, but like I do generally like how Seattle handled that game and played against Denver.
Yeah, I'll be very honest with you. Didn't watch that game, so
Again,
I have an opinion on that one.
again, not necessarily a team had to win. Again, if Jordan Love would have like didn't get injured at the end of that game, the Packers would have been on that spot. So like a team didn't have to win, but it definitely like the quality of opponent for the win definitely helps. Like because like otherwise, because again, like if Seattle would have, because like Seattle had a 2 possession lead entering like the final 5 or so 10 minutes of that game. So like yeah, it was a good win. The final Denver touchdown was garbage time, and for the Ravens, I had them at 10 the previous week. And yeah, it was a really good game against Kansas City. I didn't fully like how they handled Derrick Henry and the ground game. With it being primarily Lamar Jackson, I want to see Derrick Henry have a better productive day before I truly say they're a top 10 team. But like they're honorable mention. They're at 11 basically. Like if I had to extend this to do like 13, it would have been Baltimore 11, Vikings 12, Packers 13.
By the way, Egg, if you don't like how his list is going already, oh, you're gonna love my list.
Again, I don't know what his list is looking. What his list looks like.
Oh no, just oh, don't don't worry, it's a great list. I totally know exactly what I'm talking about.
And like, the other thing with Seattle was their defense was a little bit of a question mark because of losing Pete Carroll no longer being the head coach. You have a new head coach, Mac McDonald, who is a defensive mind. But you lose Bobby Wagner, you lose two good safeties in Quardere Diggs and Jamal Adams. So their defense having that good of a performance, even though yes, it was against a rookie quarterback, having a good performance. Definitely like they answered the questions that I had, while a team like Baltimore added more questions. So,
It's a bit fair, you know.
yeah. All right, so you're number 9. Tocid.
All right, so this team had a win. Obviously, it was the most one of the funniest wins that they could have, really. Also perfect for the team. Uh, Number 9, I got the Steelers.
Okay.
It is immensely impressive to me
Oh, real quick.
that they managed to win with no touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, real quick. 32 Carolina, 31 the Giants, and then 30 would be who would be 30? Who had I guess 30 not good. 30 would want Cincy just because of how bad of a performance they played against New England. Not like a strong 30, but like no, because the thing with the Titans is their defense played really well. Again, rookie quarterback and all that, but their defense played well, and the offense for like the first half of that game was a solid offense. It's just they completely blew it. I wouldn't necessarily say 30, but yeah, like, they're obviously not going to be too high.
Top of 29.
But yeah, you have the Steelers at 9. That's what I mean. I could not put the Steelers anywhere near these just because their offense looked abysmal.
They don't need offense.
They do not, which is what's scary about them. Oh yeah, Browns. Yeah, Browns are much better per 30. Yeah, do you see how the Browns played against Dallas? And yeah, Dallas is a really good team. But yeah, Cleveland is definitely like a more suitable 30 than Tennessee and Cincy. And all that also factors in the fact that Deshaun Watson's contract is horrendously bad. Like, yeah, they deserve to be trashed on.
Yeah, I considered putting the Browns on this list exclusively to anger Cowboys fans.
Like, here's what I would say about the Steelers.
I decided against it.
Yeah, here's the thing with the Steelers, real quick. Justin Fields did not throw the ball over the middle of the field once in that game. He completely sticked to the outside, which worked, but it's not going to work consistently. So like, he needs to be able to get it over the middle. And like the Steelers have a George Pickens is a great receiver over the middle of the field as well. So like they need to utilize it, and they just weren't able. They didn't necessarily try to use it in week 1.
Um, so anyway, Blake, enough about the Steelers.
Yeah. Look, I'll do go over my number 9 real quick. I have Buffalo. They were honorable mentions last week. They move up after the win against Arizona, purely because of how dominant of a second half they played.
Look, they got lucky. They got
Josh Allen turned it on, and he looked incredible in that second half.
Yeah, that wind don't mean shit, bro. I don't know what to say.
See, like Buffalo, tomorrow night's gonna be a fun game, and I'm looking forward to it because it should be entertaining. But I'm also screaming on the inside because as a Dolphins fan, I hate Josh Allen. I have a lot of respect for Josh Allen, but man, do I hate him in the fact that he's been dominant over us.
Hey, I might have to join that just to see you squirm. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. And so who's your number 8?
Uh, I actually see that we won't have to spend that long talking about our number 8s here because we got the exact same one.
Cool. I'm gonna put Bucks for that.
I liked how Tampa played. That's it.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield looked incredible. I mean, even though like he's not leading the league in passing yards after this week, I do think he was I do think he played the best out of any quarterback in week 1, and probably like and is a dark horse for MVP at the moment. Like he looked incredible. Washington doesn't have the greatest of defenses, but I mean he looked insane out there, and definitely is making Cleveland pay for not sticking with him. And like the defense played pretty solidly. The run game was pretty solid as well. Like, they just had an all around solid outing.
Yeah, it's nice to see a Florida team doing well, other than the Dolphins
Yeah,
or the Jaguars.
I mean the Jaguars have been all right as of late. They blew away that game
Yeah,
once.
they almost beat you.
Yeah, but then the second half rolled around. We'll get to that. As you can see, I have Miami at 7. Who's your 7?
Uh, Look, let me just preface this. So I'm a Knicks fan,
Yeah.
which means I grew up listening to a lot of Stephen A. Smith things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to agree with him on a lot of things. Obviously not everything. One of the things that we can agree on is in our hatred for the Dallas Cowgirls. That win didn't mean anything to me.
So
I don't care how dominant it was. Yeah, it went up against one of the worst teams in the league. Congratulations.
they're at 7 for you.
Yep.
Okay.
They should be lucky they made the list.
I'll go over my thoughts on Dallas a little more when we get to them on mine. But I mean, they made the Browns look like one of the worst teams in the league. On paper, they shouldn't be, but they got decimated. They got destroyed. But I mean, it's just again, I'll talk a little more in depth with it when we get to it on my mind, just because we're going to be getting into it.
Yeah, I disagree that the Browns shouldn't be on paper. I think very much they should.
Look, like Cleveland had like I'm not sure if it was ranked the best come end of season, but at one point last year, Cleveland's defense was putting up historic levels of performance. And the Cowboys just yeah, because the Cowboys had a really solid game plan for Cleveland, and a part of that game plan was just making sure that the defense was constantly on the field. All right, so my number 7 is Miami Dolphins. I did move them down after week 1 because again, for like 3 quarters of that game, the offense did not look fluent. It did not look good. There was a lot of just things that were slightly off, and it felt like they were experimenting with some things, But at the same time, they were experimenting in really big moments, like fourth downs, threw in Tanner Connor for a play to try to like just test out a formation to see if it would work on this. It's clear that they had some level of confidence in themselves to where they felt like, okay, we can get down in this and then come back with the stuff we know works. So let's use this time to experiment against a solid team. There's also like the Tua's halftime speech, which was like apparently like a really, really good speech because it worked. And yeah, it's just the only reason they're not lower because I did think about putting them closer towards the bottom of this. The main thing was that second half performance from the defense. It was incredible. Easily one of the best defensive performances I have seen out of a Dolphins team in quite some time. And just all around, the defense really showed up when we needed it to. And yeah, again, I'm excited for tomorrow night, but if the offense shows up like they did on Sunday, it's going to be a long night for me.
Maybe it's just because you're a Dolphins fan, but they gave them alone. They're a lot.
I probably am a little harder on them than like some people probably view them like, but at the same time, from what I saw, yeah, they still ended up looking like a top 10 team. But I had them at 5, before week 1, and like I just don't think they're a top 5 team at the moment with how they played.
All right, so it's two Florida teams that we've talked about today. Will we talk about the other one?
Probably not. Who's your number 6?
Exactly. All right, so this is an underdog team. I just didn't. They won. I just didn't think too heavily of it. I just got the Kansas City Chiefs at 6.
All right. I don't care if it's misspelled. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. That like quarterback league, I don't know. I just don't trust them enough.
I use what I will say. Yes, yes, in week 1 they didn't fully look like a best team in the league style of play, but at the same time, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. You know that and the fact that they did win with an off day like that against a fellow really good team, it definitely does at least for me still keep them as the best team in the league because I've doubted them. I doubted them a lot last year. I'm not gonna do it this year until I'm not gonna doubt them until they give me a true reason to doubt. And the best way to not give me true reason to doubt is to just keep winning. So as long as they're winning, they'll probably stay at number 1.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I just hate their fan base. So anything to piss them off would be great.
My number 6 is the Houston Texans. They moved up a bit from week 1. I thought they looked pretty good. The ground game was better than I expected against the Colts. And that was even with me before the season saying, hey, Joe Mixon is someone to keep an eye on for Houston and to really make a difference with this offense. I did not expect him to go for 160 yards basically. And for them to use him as often as they did, he had 30 carries against the Colts. And if the Texans can keep up the production on the ground at a somewhat consistent level, on top of what they can do through the air, yeah, they're a legit Super Bowl contender.
We'll be talking about them later on my list as well. So let's.
Okay. So who's your number 5 then?
My number 5, remember when I said I'd do anything to piss off the Chiefs fan base?
Yeah.
Number 5, I got the Baltimore Ravens. If this was a serious one, I might put them below. But
Yeah.
it's a lot funnier if it's just that's that.
Again, like, if the Ravens would have scored that touchdown and then failed a 2-point conversion and lost that way, there's a chance they do sneak onto these rankings. But it's less of the case that they missed that game potential game tying or game winning touchdown by an inch. It's more so the fact that they had to rely on that like inch mark instead of the 2 open passes Lamar missed beforehand. On that first
I,
on that first down, if he hits likely on that corner route, or even just puts the ball slightly lower or closer towards the sideline proper, that's a touchdown. They have a chance to win the game, tie it, whatever they wanted to do. On the second down play, Lamar said it was miscommunication and that he was throwing to Bateman and not Flowers. Either way, if he either takes it himself or just actually tries to throw it to Flowers, that's possibly a touchdown there. And then obviously the Isaiah Likely toe out of bounds, incomplete.
yeah, look, I'm just being a little bit more lenient on them because it was against the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's why there were so honorable mentions for me.
Yeah, but they still got Jackson on their team. They're fine.
Yeah. Again, I expect him to be right back up here next week.
That's fair.
All right, who's your number 4? Actually, no, wait, my number 5, Cowboys. Yeah, it was. I mean, they had 6 sacks as a defense against Cleveland, which is insane. Like it's hard to come across that many sacks in one game. And then the offense, they looked good. They had a punt return touchdown. Like they were dominant on every single side and factor of a game. I mean, yeah, they had to move up in the rankings for me. I would have put them higher, but in my opinion, the other teams played tougher opponents, and they still had they still had showcases of equivalent dominance, although it wasn't like a full game's worth.
I yeah, I don't care how much sacks they get. I'll be honest. It's still the Cowboys. They're not gonna win.
Oh yeah, but that's why these are regular season power rankings.
Exactly. If this was Super Bowl predictions, they wouldn't be on either
No.
of ours.
No, I don't think they win the end. I still don't have them winning their division, but we'll get to it. Who's your number 4?
Like I said, I had them a lot higher than you, and I'm shocked on this one. But this is where I have the Finns.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not as hard on them, probably because I'm having their following. Who is only do have, obviously. But yeah, I mean, they completely they came back, and I didn't expect them to. So I'm giving them props.
Yeah, again, like, the team I saw throughout those first 3 quarters did not look like the same team as that we saw last season, and that's why I'm like, okay, yeah, you gotta like show me through a full 60 that you can like be and you can have the type of performance they had in the fourth quarter. Because again, it was a really good fourth quarter for the offense. Really, it was a really good fourth quarter. They moved the ball well, and like they had consistent scoring drives finally, and it looked more like the Dolphins of last year, but still not fully. So again, I need to see it, and the issue is we have Buffalo coming up.
It's just that catch is it's still in my head, but it was a fucking fantastic.
Right, which one? You called it.
Yeah, I just really love that catch. I just love that guy.
My number 4 is the Detroit Lions.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch it, so
I know. My number 4 is the Detroit Lions, and yeah, it was an overtime win, but the Rams are a really good team. Like they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to compete for this season and be competitive. And really, that overtime drive was really really impressive of a drive. They just dominated the line of scrimmage, constantly pushed the Rams D line around, and David Montgomery had himself the drive the drive of the game, and possibly his best drive of the season was that drive. We'll see, but again, that was a really really good drive. And then Jameson Williams looked incredible. He finally had a breakout game. Hopefully, he can keep it up for an entire season. But like they were able to win without two of their best players being massive factors, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I love the Lions. One of my favorite teams just to watch in general. I had them. I have them just so let's say a fair bit higher.
Okay. Who's your number 3?
Uh, well, they're down one spot from where they are. It's the Niners.
Okay. And what's your reasoning? Because again, they did. I do agree. They're a top 3 team.
Niners.
Yeah.
That's it.
I might as well talk about them real quick. Yeah, well, I'll do real quick. Number 3, Philadelphia. Really liked how they play in the final 3 quarters of that game against Green Bay. Yeah, the first quarter was pretty disastrous, but they bounced back well, didn't let it get to them, and Saquon Barkley had himself a day. Like it was a really solid, really fun game to watch, and it was a good performance from Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Again, where the offense looked terrible in that first quarter, the defense looked really good, limiting the Packers' chances after those turnovers. Like it was a all around really good game. It just they weren't necessarily on the same page that game. For it like when the offense was going really well, the defense kind of took a step back. When the defense was going really well, the offense took a step back. But nonetheless, again, it was a really good win for them.
Can I be honest with you?
What?
I was thinking about why my list looked incomplete.
Why?
I forgot to put the Eagles on the.
I agree about Flash. I do have the Eagles winning the NFC East. And a large part of that reasoning is because no team has repeated NFC East division titles since 2005. And the Eagles are the net are the best team outside of Dallas in that division.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix this rankings real quick. Let's
All right, so while you do that, I'm gonna talk about
sorry, sorry, Houston. I'll just replace that real quick.
while he figures that out. San Francisco, they were at 2 for me. They were at 3 for Tocid. And even without Christian McCaffrey, they still had a really dominant day on the ground, and the defense played incredible. Again, the defense I expected to do well against the Jets because it was Rodgers' first game back from the Achilles, plus his first true game with the Jets offense. It was how the offense played without McCaffrey that impressed me. Because again, the Jets have one of the better defensive units in the league, and they were still able to control time of possession, control the line of scrimmage, and just be dominant on the ground and have a really successful day through the air against that really good defensive unit. So yeah, like San Francisco all around had a really good game, even without their best player being available. And now in week 2, they play Minnesota, and potentially without McCaffrey again. So that's gonna be interesting because the Niners don't have the best track record against Minnesota in Minnesota. But I mean, they look really good, and I expect them to look good going forward.
really great. All right. So now I'm just thinking about things to say for the Eagles because I completely just didn't think about it.
Let's use your number 2.
Can you just do me a favor real quick? Go back to number 7. Right?
Okay.
I need you to remove the Cowboys from the list and replace them with the Texans.
Alright. There we go.
Yeah, no, Texans did well. They have CJ Stroud. That's about it. Yeah, for number 2. Yeah, put the Philadelphia Eagles here.
Okay.
Totally didn't forget about them at all. Sorry, Brunson.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Please, please win the finals.
There we go. All right, who's your number 1 team?
Yeah, like I said, they're one of my favorite teams to watch. The Detroit Lions. I'm going all in on them this year.
Honestly, that's completely fair. With how their schedule is set up, I do have faith in them to get the 1 seed. And if they do, I think they can make the Super Bowl. Because yeah, like they are one of the best teams when playing indoors. And they play 15 games indoors this season. And then if they get the 1 seed and have home field, they'll play the entire playoffs indoors. Plus, the Super Bowl is indoors this year. Like, this is the perfect season for the Lions to finally win a ring. It's actually crazy how perfect this is set up for them.
Also, there's another thing. Since Kendrick is doing the Super Bowl halftime show, it's not entirely out of the question that he gets Eminem on it just because.
Oh, I think if the Lions, I think if the Lions may, the Lions could
really want to see that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, you got the Lions at 1. I had the Chiefs at 1. Again, they're the top dog in the NFL until proven otherwise. And honestly, even if they do lose in like the upcoming weeks or whatnot, they probably still won't fall that far. Like they're going to be in the top 3, top 5 for probably the entire season, unless they go on a real stinker of a run. Because again, like, they're the Chiefs. I doubted them last year throughout the playoffs and throughout the second half of that season, really, or the first half of that season. I'm not gonna doubt them this year. They've proven too much to me. What?
Thank God those weren't on tape, so no one could use that against you.
Yeah. Well, no, the playoff ones were. I did record playoff predictions.
Yeah, that was real bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, again, I can't doubt the Chiefs this year unless like they truly go on a horrendous run. I can't doubt them too much.
Yeah, I just don't like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't like him. That's something about him. I don't know.
All right, so there are the power rankings. Shall we quickly go over this week's slate of games? Those are,
What the fuck are this set of games again?
So tomorrow night, Thursday night football, the first Thursday night football of the season. The Bills travel to South Florida. It is still going to be hot down there. Don't think it's just because it's a night game, it's not going to be hot and it's not going to be humid. It's going to be. It's South Florida. That's how things roll. Especially because it has been storming here recently, so it's going to be humid. So currently,
gonna need y'all to like beat their ass.
Oh yeah, trust me, same. They currently like tonight it's at 86% humidity, and it is supposed to rain tonight. So yeah, it's gonna be humid tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm still just not happy about the whole last thing. So we're just gonna need Tua to go on a historic run.
Trust me, I do as well. Yeah, I have Miami winning that one. Toast, I assume you have Miami as well.
Yep.
Next one.
It's on Amazon. Oh,
Yeah, it's
Twitch.
yeah, it's gonna be on Twitch as well. Either Amazon Prime Video or Twitch. And I do recommend the Twitch broadcast, the Twitch stream of it is slightly ahead of the Prime Video one. So use that if you can. Plus, it's free.
The downside is you have to use Twitch.
Yep. Next game. The New Orleans Saints play the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas.
If this isn't going to be the most one-sided game ever.
In theory, it should be. But
Browns was a really one-sided game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Saints can keep it close for like a quarter, but then like Dallas is gonna eventually run away with this one. Their defense is just again like I mentioned in predictions. Well, yeah, the Saints played the Panthers really well. Dallas is a different beast than Carolina.
As in, they're an actual good team.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, when your team's highest ranked player, based off of consistency, is your kicker, I'm not betting on you. I can't. No. What? Who is Blake Group, and why is he their highest ranked player? I didn't know you played.
I mean, I could not make it as a kicker.
Apparently, this guy did. He's ranked 6 out of 7 days, 6 out of 30 days, 6 on the season. I'm not going to talk about that. Yeah, I'm sure.
The next, you have Dallas winning, I assume, for that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes, I have Dallas winning.
All right, next one. This, so I plan to do one game besides Sunday Night Football on Sunday, and this is that one. Tampa Bay travels to Detroit. I plan to be live for a play-by-play of that game because that is my game of the week.
That is going to be.
That should be a really good game. And it's a rematch of the playoffs last year.
Yeah, that's. I might have to join in on that.
I will say I am shocked at how many people are picking Detroit for this game. Like I am shocked. Like, I expected Detroit to be favorites. I did not expect them to be 7-point favorites.
Yeah. So
They said a 7.5 now. It actually went more in their favor, which again that's crazy to me.
So for the box scores, I use an app called and they have like just a built-in betting system. They have 72% of betting. Yeah, I don't think. Unfortunately, no one has opened Tampa.
Which I don't fully. Again, I expect this game to be really good and close. So like I don't get why so many people are on the Lions. Besides just the fact that it's in Ford Field.
Yeah, so I'm predicting the Lions are winning. However, in this, I'm gonna bet on Tampa Bay winning just exclusively so I can get the money.
Yeah, I'm going Detroit winning, and then it will be Tampa to cover. Oh, so yeah, Bob Flash, thanks for bringing up. Let's go straight to that game, and then we'll go back to the other one. Cincinnati plays Kansas City in Kansas City. Yeah. This is another one where the point spread is honestly, I would say point spread is a little high for this. Is I think it's close to like 6.5, 7, or may just be at 6 flat. But Yeah, with how the Bengals looked in week one, it's gonna be a tough day for them. Initially, my plan was to stream that game, but then since he lost in week one,
do I even need to say who I think is winning this?
nah.
Or is that obvious?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. What percentage?
We'll see the percent that people.
90
84%.
on mine is 93% for this pick'em league. Yeah, not a lot of people have faith in Cincy, and it's totally understandable. Also, Bob Flash, I've reset. I think you're behind a little bit.
Probably.
All right, next one. The Colts play the Packers. Again, if Jordan Love was healthy, I would have the Packers in this game.
Because I don't want our bets to be the exact same, I'm gonna go with the Packers.
Yeah, I have the Colts. I do not trust Malik Willis to like to to be able to make the plays that are going to be needed for this win for them to win.
I'm just gonna say random prediction. He's gonna have a score on the other side of that shit.
I mean, he could prove me wrong and have a great day, but from his time in Tennessee, he did not. He barely was able to produce there. And yeah, the Packers have a better, more QB friendly system, but still, I mean, the Colts are a tough team to go against.
He's gonna go on as Vincent. Do you
Very well could. They're going to need him. The Packers need to escape. The expectation is Love is going to miss roughly 3 weeks. Or so like if they go 1-2 and they exit and Love comes back and they're sitting at 500, I think they're in a good spot. But again, they're going to need Willis to win at least one of those. To win at least one game.
By the way, if I get that prediction right and he goes on an actual Wednesday one, you're buying me a drink. And I'm gonna pour it out because I'm please.
Right. The Jets travel to Tennessee. It's the next one. I mean, if Tennessee, man, they just look terrible in that second half. I still think they're a good team and they could keep this game close. But I just have to go with the Jets. I can't. I mean, I would love it if Tennessee can win and the Jets go 0-2 to begin the year. But yeah, I just the Jets are gonna bounce back well this week. It's a good week for them to bounce back.
You know what? I'm gonna bet on the underdog here. Let's Tennessee.
Like if Tennessee would have won against Chicago and like played consistently, I probably would go Tennessee for this game. But I don't have faith in them right now.
Yeah, I don't have faith in Aaron Rodgers.
Fair. All right, the 49ers played the Vikings. Again, the 49ers have a rough history when playing in Minnesota. They're like 0-5 since 1999, I believe. But these are two very different teams in previous meetings.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Minnesota. I don't know what it is. Just something tells me they're winning.
Yeah,
this will be like a 1 of 3 losses at 10 times this year.
I could see it, but I mean, again, like, Minnesota did beat them last year, but that was without multiple key players. in for San Francisco in this game, they're only expected to be without Christian McCaffrey, and even then, Jordan Moses played really well against which is normally a really good Jets defense. I just don't have faith in Sam Darnold repeating his level of performance he had last week. The Niners defense is a lot better than the Giants defense. I just don't see him having another great day. So I have the 49ers. That's...
Yeah, I'm cool.
Seattle plays New England in New England.
I'm gonna give it to the Patriots.
Okay.
Not a particular reason.
You good, Bob Flash?
Give it to the Patriots.
I'm going Seattle. I think because Seattle had a good performance against Denver. I don't think New England's going to be able to hold Seattle to just 10 points again. Like I think that performance against Cincy, albeit a great performance for New England, I don't think it is truly indicative of how New England's going to play a lot of games this year, in the sense that the defense is probably going to struggle more often than not. And also, like the way the offense played against Cincy really should have been in a losing effort. Like their offense did not play good against Cincy. The big thing was the ground game the ground game was incredible. But I think Seattle's gonna have a better run defense. So yeah, I have the Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll play Drake May and just win. I don't know.
I don't think Drake May is gonna play until late in the season, if at all.
Unfortunately.
But next,
I really like seeing him in preseason.
yeah. But again, they want to make sure the O line is at a good quality before they throw him out there, which I totally get. And it's for reasons like this one coming up. The Giants traveled to Washington and played the Commanders. I legit went back and forth picking this one, which is weird because Washington was the better team in week one, even in the losing effort. I don't fully trust Washington, and I definitely do not trust New York. But and then at the end of the day, I do think Jaden Daniels gets the win. And I do think it will be a large part due to the mobility of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go with Commanders. But
I mean, yeah, Babash. Brissett had a good enough week in week one, but that type of performance is not going to be enough in most cases. It shouldn't have been enough last week, but since he does Cincy things. All right. So you had Washington?
Yep.
All right.
That's gonna be a terrible game.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about a game that probably is going to be even worse because it should be a complete blowout? The Chargers travel to Carolina and play the Panthers. Do you want to know the percentages for the pick'em for this game?
100%.
The chart 98% of people have picked the Chargers.
That is so fucking fair.
To be fair, last week 97% of people picked the Bengals, and look what happened.
Yeah, that's gonna be a 50-0 game.
Listen, the Chargers were able to run all over a really good Raiders front seven. They should have no issues doing that same game plan against Carolina. And then Carolina's offense is gonna struggle against the Chargers defense. Like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are gonna have great days.
No one's gonna feel bad watching that other than people who live in Carolina.
I mean, yeah.
Even then, they'll understand it.
At least they have the Hornets, I guess.
Oh,
Nah, but at least have the
no.
At least have the Hurricanes. NHL season's right around the corner. They're waiting for that.
Hey, yeah, that's NHL. No one can fuck. No one cares. I was just making a joke.
The Cleveland Browns travel to play the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And lose.
Yeah, I also have Jacksonville in this one. Well, yeah, just Cleveland did not look good. They looked bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, shout out Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, he did have a
No
really
specific reason.
yeah, he had a good game against Miami, which is weird. I mean, it also kind of makes sense. Bigsby is more than Travis Etienne is, so he did just bulldoze and power his way for extra yards after contact. But yeah, I mean, I just like Javon Walker and Josh Hines Allen are going to have good days against this Cleveland front that played terribly against Dallas. And then like I know like Jacksonville's offense looked good in that first half against Miami. But they just didn't make the adjustments needed in the second half. And even then, like they almost did put the game away in the third quarter. But Travis Etienne fumbled, and that was pretty much the game changing play there. But yeah, I have Jacksonville.
All right, I do have a way for Cleveland.
No.
So they gotta take a pic. They gotta take a picture of the Pistons book, specifically the early 2000s Pistons. What they gotta do is start another Malice at Palace. Just start beating the shit out of people.
Arrowhead, if I'm understanding your question correctly, for like the live play-by-plays, I don't actually show the game. I just like describe like the plays going on. If you mean like the images from the Power Rankings video, I just found them online. Most teams release photos from the game in like the following day or so. Yeah.
But off of that, what's your opinion on the Malice of the Palace idea that I have for the Browns?
It could work. I mean,
Just get the Jaguars players suspended. That's it. As long as they can get at least two of the like big guys out there.
yeah, I don't think it would work. I mean, like the closest thing Cleveland had to somewhere like that is the Bottlegate game, where fans were throwing bottles of beer onto the field.
No, it'll work. All they gotta do is just get Tank, Charlie Lawrence, a couple other guys. You just get them just get them started.
Cleveland also has a new kicker for this week. They released Cade York following the loss to Dallas, which is probably the last person that should have been released after that game. But yeah, they do have a new kicker, so that should be something to keep an eye on. Because I think Cleveland might go into this thinking they could win this game the same way Pittsburgh beat Atlanta. Whereas like we have Miles Garrett who can take over this game on the right side if he's able to have and generate pressure, and then they can just win off field goals. It's unlikely that they're going to do that because their offense isn't as good as Pittsburgh's in a sense to get them into field goal range, but that might be the best shot.
Hey, just sorry for your loss, any Browns fans. That's it.
Yeah. Next one. The Raiders travel to Baltimore. You want to know the percentage for the pick'ems in this one?
97.
98% Baltimore.
I was 1% off. That.
I also have Baltimore. This is the perfect bounce back game for them, which honestly probably does mean they find a way to make this way too close for comfort. But the Raiders could not stop J.K. Dobbins at all in Week 1. I expect Derrick Henry to finally have a true first game in Baltimore, and then Lamar Jackson could honestly run for 200 yards if he wants.
Welcome to the league, pal. That's all I can say.
The Rams travel to Arizona.
And they're gonna lose.
81% pick the Rams for this one, which I do think is a lot. I do think that is a lot. Like, this game is going to be a really good game, and honestly, probably the game in the 4 o'clock window. Because again, like, Arizona played Buffalo well. The Rams played Detroit well. Like, I would not be surprised if Arizona wins this. But yeah, I do have the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams ain't got nothing in this.
Weirdly enough, though, this wouldn't be a bounce back game for Cooper Kupp. Like, he had a really good game against the Lions. If anything, this is a good chance for the defense to have a bounce back game. Another game that I feel like way too many people are on one side for this. The Steelers travel to Denver. 85% have picked the Steelers. That should definitely be more so close to 50-50.
I guess, but at the same time, I don't have any trust in the Broncos.
I went back and forth on this one, and like I nearly picked Denver. Like I do, because the Steelers don't have an offense. So like they're gonna have to look. If their defense can, if they're gonna need to win this game in a very similar way they beat the Falcons, which is possible. In large part because Denver's offensive line allowed the most pressures in the league last week, in terms of like pressure percentages. So like the Steelers could win this game off the back of their defense. I have the Steelers doing that, but I would not be surprised at all if Denver wins this.
Look, just I don't think Broncos' offense is that good either.
I mean, they look better than the Steelers' offense did last week.
Yeah, but everyone does, and they don't have any words.
I don't know. Like, again, this game was tough for me to pick. Honestly, kind of if it's Russell Wilson playing for the Steelers, I definitely like the Steelers a lot more. But even with Justin Fields, I think his mobility is going to going to be a huge factor. The same way Geno Smith's mobility was a big factor in Week 1 in Seattle's win over Denver. Like, that's the thing. I just don't think Denver's defense can handle a mobile quarterback that well. All right, we already talked about KC Cincy. That's 93% picking KC.
It should be more.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Chicago Bears play the Houston Texans. I don't get. I
zero circumstances do I think the Bears.
Yeah, same. I mean, like the Bear. Do you want to know how many passing yards the Bears had in Week 1?
Barely any.
Yeah, they had a total of 93 passing yards.
They have Caleb Williams.
14 completions, 93 yards. And like Tennessee's defense is good, but they're not that good.
Caleb Williams is the biggest fraud ever conceived, bro. That's it. That's it. He's not doing anything.
Like 92% picked Houston. I also have Houston. And again,
I
it's
really
just
hope I'm wrong on that, by the way. Just
it was like it's
that was a fraudulent performance.
Again, it was a tough Week 1 for a lot of quarterbacks, especially rookie quarterbacks. So I don't fully put it past him. I just wish his Week 2 opponent wasn't a Super Bowl contender in Houston. Like I like his breakout game is hopefully gonna come Uh, again, you probably have to wait until week 5. Like Chicago could start 0-4 this season. Because after Houston, they travel to Indianapolis, and then they have the Rams, and then they play Carolina week 5. So that's going to be his first win. But yeah, I mean, again, Houston's a potential Super Bowl contender. Chicago is hoping to kind of gain some momentum at the quarterback position and kind of in the offense in general after a really tough week 1. Again, like I say, again, I have Houston.
I love not having streamer mode on, by the way.
All right, Monday Night Football, final game of the week. The Falcons travel to Philadelphia and play the Eagles. Hey, do you want to guess the percentage for the pick'ems in this game?
96.
97% Philly.
God damn.
I honestly, I thought this was going to be more so that 90-10 range, but yeah, I have Philly winning this. For all the hype surrounding Atlanta, they did not look good in week 1 offensively. And again, yes, it was against the Steelers, who have one of the best defenses in the league, but there was so much hype made around it, and their leading receiver was Ray McLeod. Yes, Tocid, you heard that name correctly. we talked about this. We talked about this earlier in the like Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday night. I think we were talking about this. NFL player names can get weird, and Ray McLeod is one. It's a great name, but yeah, yeah,
Kool-Aid McKinstry when you need him.
Yeah, he's in New Orleans.
Oh God. Sorry, Kool-Aid.
I got Philly. I assume you have Philly as well.
Yeah.
All right. So we went through power rankings, went through predictions, and we have all done it in the time frame that I kind of wanted us to do, which is that hour mark. So, thank you all for tuning in. Those any last words?
We didn't answer too many questions.
we answered the questions that came in.
Hey, that's a good point. Bob, let's give us a question real quick. I want to answer a question. Oh my God.
Favorite name so far?
Kool-Aid McKinstry easily.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, real quick. Because Tampa has 2 players who have also great names. Let me find them. They both had sacks last week, so it should be easy to find them. The first one. Servakia Dennis. And Joe Tyrone Shoyinka.
He had 2 first names. Joe Tyrone. Just call him that, nothing else.
Joe.
I still can't get over
That's a Super Bowl champion, right? Respect. Put respect on that name.
He's a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, he was in KC to begin his career.
Oh, great. Did he play?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. How well did he do?
He's in Atlanta now, if that answers your question.
That's a good point. Yeah.
No, he played decently well for KC.
All right. Have yourselves a good
Yep. Yeah, Ray was pretty good. So, yeah. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow night for Dolphins Bills. I really hope that's a good game. Yeah, thank you for Miami blowout. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. Have yourselves a. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.
Keep stealing my shit.